The South African National Defence Force says it is in the process of informing family members of the soldiers who were attacked in the Democratic Republic of Congo. One crew member was fatally shot, while others suffered injuries when their helicopter was shot at. United Nations Secretary General António Guterres has called the incident a war crime under international law. National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union, Advocate Pikkie Greeff, joins us now for more. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. A UN peacekeeping force came under fire. The first question is why? It's an Oryx helicopter. It's a transportation helicopter, not an attack helicopter that was shot at. Yes, it was supposed to be accompanied by an attack helicopter, but it wasn't. Is that part of the reason why it was vulnerable?
Well, I think that is why it was vulnerable. But apart from that, it's quite clear, that if this was the rebels, the M23 group of rebels firing at the helicopter, it's clear that it is a violation of international law, because that's a peacekeeping force. And I think it makes it all the more cowardly that, it's not a combat craft that's being fired at. It's simply a transport aircraft.
There are funding issues in this particular deployment that are beginning to emerge. Just present the context of that, how difficult has it been to continue with this mission?
It's very difficult, and I think the proof, is of what happened on the 5th of February. Those helicopters are supposed to be accompanied by attack helicopters, as what they refer to in the military as top cover. Unfortunately, due to funding issues, a part of it, the United States having withdrawn much of the funding in the last couple of years, that kind of top cover is not available anymore. And the Air Force has been warning internally that this is the kind of risk that the members on the ground is facing, or the members who are flying are facing. And so it's clear that the funding has become an issue, and the UN should really step up, and they know that funding in the South African military specifically is an issue anyways. One would think that the UN would step up and solve this problem by enabling funds that can provide top cover in situations like these.
So are you of the view that the rebels are aware of this? Maybe not just the rebels, but even those who fund them and those who support them with ammunition and whatever other support. They are aware of this deficit, this deficiency, and therefore are beginning to mount some kind of response?
Well, one wouldn't know what the motive exactly is, or whether that figures into their thinking. What is clear, the past couple of months, what experts have also been saying in the past couple of months is it's clear that the rebels have been reorganizing, they've been rearmed, and by all accounts they are much better organized and plan much better than they did previously. And, the incident, if you look at the location of the incident, it's only a couple of miles from Goma. They seem to be closing in on Goma and definitely stepping up their activities.
So you are saying there's new arms that are beginning to emerge here. I mean, will we be seeing rocket launches soon?
Well, this is the question. Of course, it's not altogether unfathomable that there could be rocket launches in the near future. It's very concerning that the UN keeps looking at this, especially after this incident, as a mere peacekeeping operation. It's quite clear that these rebels aren't intent on keeping peace or staying peaceful. They are provoking confrontation and committing war crimes. I think that what is needed is the UN to have a relook at their mandate in the DRC.
Now, in terms of the current attack that we saw on this SANDF helicopter, do you think the politics in the DRC could be linked to this particular attack?
Well, one has to look at the 2012 agreement that was reached between the DRC government and the rebel group, because the agreement in 2012 was that the rebel group would disarm, that they would be integrated into the DRC's defense force, and that the M23 group would be recognized as a political party in the country. None of that has happened. And so the premise upon which the peacekeeping operation was started by the UN has fallen away. None of that has happened. And so if your question is whether the politics of that country is playing a role in this, yes, definitely. The rebels are saying they're not getting what they were promised, and therefore they go into the next gear. And the DRC government is sticking to its guns, so to speak, and saying, well, we're not, negotiating with a rebel group that's armed and out to make war.
So is it then incumbent upon the UN to relook its peacekeeping mission and I suppose that particular arrangement?
Well, look, there are many people that are now of the opinion that the UN should relook their mission there, that it should probably turn from a peacekeeping operation into a peace enforcing operation, which of course implies that one is going to directly engage with these rebels wherever you find them. So, yeah, I think definitely the mandate needs a relook.
Now, in terms of the UN peacekeeping protocols, who should then take responsibility for this latest incident?
I think the responsibility lies mostly with the M23 rebels who have committed a war crime in this case. Some of it could have been mitigated to a certain extent if there was top cover from the UN military presence there, which then in this case was not. That doesn't mean the UN should take responsibility for the casualty that's happened, because of course the attack would have happened whether there was top cover or not. But the top cover would probably have mitigated the effects of the attack. But the fact is, as long as we keep on flying around without top cover, one becomes an easy target. And I think that's really what the UN needs to address.
At this point in time, no one has actually taken responsibility for the attack. But are you expecting that somebody will likely come up and actually take responsibility?
The M23 rebels have never shied away from taking responsibility, so I think one should be seeing them taking responsibility pretty soon. If it's not, then the culprits better be found, because the risk that our soldiers are placed at is for a peacekeeping operation is simply too big for a peacekeeping operation. Their mandate needs to change.
Pikkie Greeff, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. National Secretary of the South African National Defence Force Union, Advocate Pikkie Greeff.